Now, today's top stories and Power of 5 weather from News 5. Sponsored by Akron Children's Hospital.
Good Sunday morning, Northeast Ohio, on this third day of October. Hard to believe it was only 2 weeks ago we were here talking about the results of the Cleveland mayoral primary, and today we're here talking about the start of early voting on Tuesday. There is a twist, though, for people who live in a city that had a September 14th primary. So Cleveland, Cleveland Heights, Lakewood, Garfield Heights, to name a few. Early voting for you can't start for legal reasons until Thursday, so keep that in mind. Now, a lot of new mayors come into office to a surprise or two, and oh, by the way, left by the previous administration. Well, one of the pleasant surprises for the new administration and the new city council will be the hundreds of millions of dollars that are set to come into Cleveland through the American Rescue Plan. That's why Jordan Vandenberg tells us the current city council is saying, let's take a step back. Let's think about this.
The winds of change are coming to City Hall. New council, new mayor, and a financial windfall not seen in a generation.
I mean, it could make such a positive impact, but if we, bit by bit spend it in random places, we're not going to see a collective impact.
And what's important to me is that we're not taking new dollars and using it to do what we've always done.
After the Jackson administration introduced legislation Monday night with plans on spending the chunk of COVID relief money, council's frustrations morphed into inaudible. A special meeting slated for next week to host discussions that Councilman Charles Slife believes should have happened months ago.
The conversations that we've had to date are all great ideas at a macro level. The reason that we need a more deliberative process is to take these big ideas and to think through specifically how to implement them.
It's not just spending the money, you have to evaluate spending the money so that you know the outcomes that it's going to benefit the city of Cleveland.
The rare move comes against the backdrop of the November elections to determine a new mayor and a new-look city council. Councilman McCormick says the stimulus spending plan should be detailed and deliberate, especially considering it doesn't have to be earmarked until 2024.
I have no interest in dragging our feet more than we have to. I fully understand the significant need in our community, but we've got to take the time to get this right.
Everyone believes the money could do a lot of good for the city, but only if spent well and spent wisely.
These are still tax dollars. We say it's coming in from Washington. It's still tax dollars. It's still the people money that we need to be accountable for.
And Jordan tells us that special meeting will be held tomorrow morning at 10. Well, the start of October also means the Ohio Redistricting Commission is getting the band back together. This after the legislature basically punted on their efforts to draw new congressional districts. That the state legislature didn't meet the September 30th deadline of coming up with new congressional maps wasn't a surprise to Catherine Tercer of Common Cause Ohio. What was
that the state legislature didn't even try to meet this deadline, that there weren't hearings, that we didn't hear from experts, all of the kinds of things that they could have done, they just didn't do.
The closest was a last-minute proposal by Senate Democrats that would have had a likely split of 8 GOP districts and 6 Democratic ones, with one district listed as a toss-up. Republicans currently hold a 12-4 edge. The nonpartisan Princeton gerrymandering project gave it a B, acknowledging it favored Democrats. But as Tercer points out,
every map should also be looked at as just a beginning step.
So now the 7-member Ohio Redistricting Commission has a month to come to an agreement. These are the 5 Republicans and 2 Democrats that last month worked on the state legislative districts that are now being fought in the state Supreme Court. Republican Secretary of State Frank LaRose promising at the time that when they would be charged with the drawing of the congressional maps, as he was confident they would be,
this process will be different. It is not going to work this way next time.
He's right about that because there are different rules in place. If they can't get 2 Democrats and 2 Republicans to agree on a map, it goes back to the legislature. And if they can't agree, the maps will also be only for 4 years, but with even stricter guidelines.
There's a real focus on, not gerrymandering or drawing district lines to favor one party or the other. And then there's that written explanation. And that written explanation of the map can really help in court, which could urge people to get to work to do a 10-year map.
And that written explanation, I'm told, is key. Well, the week ended without a partial federal government shutdown. That can got kicked down the road, but there is still the fight looming over us over raising the debt ceiling, something that's been done close to 80 times over the last half century on a bipartisan basis. But this year has become a political football.
Every time in the past, both parties have stood up and said, we've got to pay our bills. This isn't about future activities or spending or appropriations bills or any of that stuff. This is about we owe this money. 3 years ago, Republican House, Republican Senate, Republican President, 45 of us as Democrats voted to pay our bills. Mitch McConnell's playing political games. I'm sorry so many Republican senators are following him, but this would be a disaster if we default as a nation.
Senator Rob Portman, meanwhile, telling me last week that he feels it will be raised, but it's about negotiations.
The only time we've had any luck in getting spending under control has been in the context of a debt limit vote. You remember the so-called sequestration back, I don't know, a dozen years ago or so. You remember more recently we put budget caps in place as a result of a debate over extending the debt limit. That was actually something that Speaker Pelosi insisted on. So Republicans and Democrats alike have said, yeah, we'll vote for a debt limit. Nobody wants to default, but let's get something along with it.
October to be a busy month. With Democracy 2021, I'm John Kosick. Enjoy your Sunday.
Happy Sunday. I'm Power 5 meteorologist Katie McGraw, and we are bringing back some rain. We had a stretch of dry weather, but that ended yesterday evening and continues into your Sunday. Most of the showers that we have right now in mid-morning are pretty light, and when you go farther to the southern part of the state, that's where it's more widespread and heavy. But we still have the cold front to move through and that low pressure. And because it's slow moving, we're going to see repeated rounds of showers and storms today, tonight, and into Monday. This is what future radar looks like. We'll have some of these hit or miss showers and some thunderstorms as we move throughout the morning. But by the late afternoon and evening, notice how there's a slight uptick in coverage. I think that's going to be the best opportunity for a lot of us to see rain. Doesn't last long though. Tapers off overnight, starting off predominantly dry on Monday morning, but you see that rain is a theme the entire 48-hour period. And honestly, this entire week is going to be warm and a bit wet. We continue to have some possibilities for showers throughout all of this week.
Sponsored by Akron Children's Hospital.